Hi everyone, welcome to day 3 of Dreamforce. I am Alexis Kushner. I'm the product marketing manager for the AppExchange. And I'd like to welcome you today to AppExchange for Everyone, 10 amazing free apps you can't miss. So I will shortly introduce our great speakers. But before we get started, the safe harbor statement, which makes you want to poke your eyes out. Please make your purchasing decisions based on technology readily and currently available. So like I mentioned, I'm Alexis. I am the product marketing manager for the AppExchange, which means that when you go to the AppExchange and you navigate the site and you see what the apps that we're featuring, me and our team, we work hard to put those apps up there and to make sure that we're showing you what our partners are doing and what is new and exciting. I come to the session by way of one of our great teammates, Jamie Davenport. She is a principal customer success manager who unfortunately fell and broke her arm and is undergoing surgery. And she really worked hard in the session, and she's really awesome. So feel free to give her a little shout out, a little love. Hashtag feel better at Jamie Davenport. It'll really make her day. She's at home recovering. So let's talk about the AppExchange. You probably have heard a little bit about it so far. We have over 2,500 apps in the AppExchange, which is really exciting. It's the #1 business app marketplace. So sure, there's other app stores out there. There's other places you can find all sorts of apps, but this is the only place that you can get business apps that are pre-integrated, secured, and built specifically for Salesforce. So far, we have over 2.6 million installs and 44,000 peer reviews. So that's really incredible. You know, that all of our users, people in this room probably are power users. People are going on, just like Yelp or anywhere else, and giving reviews and telling you what apps they like, what apps are working for their companies, their organizations, giving you tips and tricks. So it's a really good way to filter the AppExchange and find what it is that you're looking for. Another stat that is really, I think, impressive and something that just came out recently through our own internal research is that 71% of Salesforce customers are using one or more app from the AppExchange. And that is a huge growth from previous years. So it really shows that the marketplace and our partner ecosystem is really helping our customers extend Salesforce. And the last note is that last year, for those of you who are here, you may have heard we launched Salesforce One. And from that point to now, we have over 300 Salesforce One mobile-ready apps. So we hit that milestone last week. It was a big team celebration. We had a little champagne in the office, and we were really excited about that. So, more apps on the AppExchange, apps you can use from your phone or any device. It's really exciting. Here are just some of the Salesforce One mobile apps that I was speaking about. We have them for every industry, every line of business. There's free apps. So go ahead and take a look when you have a chance on the AppExchange. Search Salesforce One Mobile Ready. You'll see all these apps. So one thing that's really important to do when you're thinking about, what app, how do I get started with the AppExchange, or what apps should I use, or some of the apps that Karen and Maggie, who you'll meet in a minute, that they're going to feature today, they may or may not be the right fit for you, right? So like the app that another company is using, or one of your friends you meet here at Dreamforce, other apps that they're using for their companies and their organizations, it may not fit your needs. So it's really important to go to the AppExchange with your needs specifically in mind. So think about like what department are you struggling with? What department is having the problem? What's your budget? What industry are you in, or what industry do you need help with? What's your timeline for getting this up and running? And how much support do you need? So we have supported and unsupported. There's all sorts of varieties, and it's not a one-size-fits-all model, right? So it's really important to hone in on what you need, and there's a lot of tips and tricks to find the solution that's right for you. Today, we're talking about free. So all the free apps that are built by Salesforce Labs, apps built by other companies that you can just plug in, don't break the bank, and see some awesome results. And the good news is that out of our 2,500 apps in the AppExchange, over 1,000 are free. So that's huge. There's a lot of great apps there. You don't have to pay any more. You've already invested in Salesforce, and you can really get started and start playing around and seeing results right away. So with that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Karen McBride from E-Trade Financial, and she'll walk you through Karen's picks today for the top 10 free apps. And take it away, Karen.
Hey, good morning, everyone. So I am Karen McBride. I'm sure you all know E-Trade Financial, and I'm a senior product manager there. I've got dual certification. I've been using the platform for about 10 years at various organizations over those 10 years. And I have become an AppExchange junkie. In my last company, I had 18 apps installed. So at E-Trade, we're using Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and Marketing Cloud. We have 2 organizations, one for our B2B and one for our B2C, and about 1,800 users between the 2 organizations. So first app I want to talk about this morning is Changelt from CloudLogistix. This is one of my favorite applications. It's a great way to stop getting email requests from your users in Outlook, and gives you a quick out-of-the-box object that you can start tracking your requests in. What I did was I added a couple of fields to customize it so I could track not only the user, but also the department they came from, the product that they were asking changes for, whether it was Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, or a custom app I had built, and whether it was a new request or a feature enhancement. And that really gave me some great metrics to see how and where my org was expanding. The other nice part of this application is there's another object where you can actually track the changes by object or area of customization that you're doing. So you can really have a little more extensive documentation of your org. It goes nicely hand in hand with the audit trail that Salesforce provides you. So I found that to be incredibly useful. And then my predecessor, the people that followed me after I left the company would have some historical knowledge of why a change was made, who requested it, and what actually happened outside of the audit trail. So that's a really simple one. It's quick to install, and you'll really appreciate not trying to track all your requests in email anymore. Next app, all right, so for any of you who've been using Salesforce for a long time, this is the data loader we all wanted 10 years ago. This is JitterBit Data Loader. It is a data loader on steroids. I can't say enough good things about it. Once you start using it, you'll never go back to the standard data loader. It is one of my favorite aspects of this is just the fact that it remembers my login credentials. So if you have to log into multiple environments, whether it's production or sandbox environments, you don't have to go look up that security token every time. It'll remember the org and your credentials for you. So just logging into the data loader is a breeze. There's a drag and drop field mapping functionality, which is awesome. And there's actually some advanced functionality, which I personally haven't really used, but there's scheduling and monitoring automation tools in there. It is fabulous. This is the one I say, go home and download it. Go get it today. You'll be happy you did. So the next 2 apps that I have really kind of go hand in hand. So I'm working right now on a re-implementation project, and I'm finding that I'm using Fieldtrip quite extensively. We have objects with hundreds of fields on them, and they've been around for a long time. So I'm trying to get a grasp on, what's really being used in the organization. This allows me to pull a report of all the fields on an object and really find the percentage of records with data in the fields. So it gives you a pretty quick sense of where you've got data residing. So, you may think, oh, that field's not important, I'm going to get rid of that. But then you realize, oh, you know what, 85% of my records have data in that field. Maybe I should keep that one and not retire it, right? The other nice feature with this is if you have an object and you've got some required fields on a page layout, but you also have some data points that you really want the users to populate, but you don't want to have the pain of a page full of required fields, you can use this to track those other fields that aren't required, but really, maybe provide some key metrics that a sales manager, say, wants to know about, and you can see where they're being neglected. So again, this is one of the apps I'm using right now on a re-implementation project. The next app is really, it's brand new. I just discovered it the other day. It's a really cool little gem. I'm enjoying it. It's Schema Surfer, and this really gives you a one-page view of an object and all the fields that are on that object, and you can quickly just drill into the field, get all kinds of metadata information about it. You can see the object key prefixes, which is a cool feature to have because sometimes they're not easy to find. I like it right now because, as I said, I'm doing a re-implementation, so it's nice to go in and get the data about a specific field, and you can just click it, pop it back and forth, so you're not having to jump around. It's fast, one-page view. It also gives you the parent-child relationships on an object, which is interesting to know. Make sure you're not missing anything if you're trying to re-architect a system. And also there's the filter by record type. So those two I'm really enjoying right now. They're helping me make a challenging task a lot easier. And then my last one, many of you may know this one. It's been around for a while, but it's one of my favorites. My sales guys love it when I put this out there. You can get the news feeds for any company, account, contact, or lead in your org. You put it on the home page, and your users can personalize it to their preferences so they can have their news feed of their key clients, contacts, prospects right on their home page. So every morning they log into Salesforce, open up their home page, and there they have the latest and greatest news for all their people they want to stay in touch with. It also allows you to share it out with your email. You can post it to the chatter, or you can share it out on your social media. So it's a 5-minute install. It's super easy for your end users to understand how to configure it. And there you go. You're off and running and adding value in a very short period of time. Maggie?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Let's get this going. The middle one?
Right one.
Okay. I'm Maggie Jolitz with Cox Automotive, and Cox Automotive is Autotrader.com, Kelly Blue Book, Vin Solutions, Viato. There's about 7 different business units under the Cox Automotive brand. I'm a senior technical lead there for Salesforce.com. And I'm going to first start off by saying Changeit was one of my favorite apps that I downloaded, and I can really say it made me a hero at the company I work for because I made the users feel like this application was for them, and I was just the one facilitating what they needed. So having them be able to log their change requests, I would meet with certain groups. So if you had, I would kind of group together my sales change requests, and I would schedule meetings with them on a certain every other week, and then my support and the different groups, and it really gave them a feeling of this was their app, and that really made my adoption. I mean, I had 100% adoption at my company, which was like almost unheard of. The other thing I did is after I learned how to do Visualforce, I modified the Changeit so that I could produce my release notes. So any of the features or functionality that I put out at the end of a release cycle, then I had all these custom fields that would have nice release notes. And then I would make a PDF, and then I'd post that in my chatter group for releases. So it's like it brought a whole full cycle for me. So I just want to, if anything you take away, go install that, set yourself up for success in your company, and really let your stakeholders, senior managers understand how you are really extending the ROI on the product through that Changeit app. So recommend it highly. So what I'm going to talk about is the graphics pack from Salesforce Labs. This is one of my all-time favorite apps that I downloaded early in my career. In 2004, I started with a little startup company and wanted to kind of give some visuals for our salespeople because they don't really like text, don't really like CRM, and anytime you can put some graphics in there to kind of help them, drive them to do things in the system like the close dates in the past, exclamation point, stuck or stale stages, or when they've got everything good, they've got all their data right, they've got their next step, they got the decision maker, they have their information, you can now kind of reward them to go from reds or oranges to green check marks. Very powerful little tool. And that little tool took me on to something totally different. So what it did for me is I recently had to set up an org for AutoTrader to combine 5 business units into one Salesforce org in a pilot program. And what we wanted to see is we were trying to generate sales teams better together, knowing what the product that each business unit had so they could leverage relationships in the business unit. So what I did is I took a financial feed and put it into a custom object of all the product. And I did some formula fields to calculate whether the product was active or inactive. And then I made roll-up fields. This is all hidden stuff on the account. And so the roll-up fields would look at the BU. So I would make filters that said, BU equals AutoTrader, product active count greater than 0, then display this logo. So it'd be the full color logo if they had active product. If they were a prospect, it'd be the grayscale logo. If they were churned or former, then it would be the full color logo with a line through it. All interactive, all real time. And then what I did is I took and wrote another formula that put all the logos into one, what I call a flare bar, so that at the top of the page, whenever you hit an account, the salesperson would immediately know what business unit that dealer had. So it was real time, live, that feed was coming in every morning. And this was one thing that just blew them away, having these graphics in here to kind of give them that visual of what that dealer had and not have to dig through a bunch of text fields. I do have down below the supporting text fields that show how much BU spend per BU. And then I did the embedded report charts on the same page that showed a donut, which was BU spend by BU with the total in the middle, and then BU spend dividing between media and software. Invaluable information. I can't tell you how much. It seems so simple to do, and it got a really big bang giving that. The other thing I like to do is on an opportunity, if you have an approval process and get to the point where they need to submit an approval process, I'll put graphics on the page that says, this opportunity needs to be submitted for approval. Big graphic at the top just kind of reminds them they've got to submit it for approval. Once they submit it, it tells them, hey, it's locked. It's locked from editing. It should be approved within 48 hours. If you have a problem, contact this person. And then when it's approved, it's like big green approved. So I use these graphics through all my objects to kind of help the user when they land on the record, kind of know what is the next thing they need to do. Is there any condition of that record that they need to be aware of? Just takes your UI to a whole new level by embedding graphics. So go get the graphics pack. Once you figure it out and it shows you how to do it, you can take all your own logos, all your own graphics, put them in the document library, and use the same concepts, copy formulas, and just import the URLs for the logos. So really great, great little tool. Been on the AppExchange, I think, ever since I started in 2004. Yeah. Action plans from Salesforce Labs. So great CRM, sales service. You've got post-sale activities. What are you going to do? Action plans is a great way to extend your ROI on Salesforce by setting up reusable task templates. So if you know that when an opportunity is closed won and it's a certain product mix and you need to do 5 different tasks and 3 different people have to handle it, these little action plans, you can set these up, preset them up for predefined things that are repetitive in your organization. So if we used it for onboarding and account management. So once something got onboarded, we have an action plan for the onboarding, and we had an action plan for the account management. And it has dependent tasks. You finish one task, it triggers another task. So instead of like flooding a bunch of tasks, you can stage the tasks and deliver them as things are getting done. Great little tool. Really a lot of fun to bring in your other groups in your companies outside of your sales and service. Standard tab override. So what this does is if you've done heavy customization in your org, and maybe you've done some custom buttons, you've done some custom reporting, you have your own custom dashboards, and you don't want users going to some of this best stuff that came out of the box, now what you can do is use this little app to hide that new button that's everywhere. It's on the, say opportunity. We have on our account page, we have a button that the salesperson can click on from the account at the top that says create opportunity, and it'll default some stuff for them so that it's only like instead of 5 steps, because normally if you go down to the related list and you hit new opportunity, there's like several things you have to do. Like name the opportunity, put in the close date, set the stage. There's like 5, I think, required items. By making the button on the page, then the custom button They basically have to do one thing. They have to pick like a product suite, and they're off and running. So this is a way to kind of take away these new buttons that are placed throughout the app and drive your users to the process you define to increase your data integrity. Great little tool. Opportunity County Dashboard. I've used this over and over again, and if you're new with Salesforce and your sales team is new to Salesforce and you're trying to get to pipeline and forecasting, you can't get to pipeline and forecasting unless your sales users are doing what they need to do so you can get to the next step. So this has been an invaluable tool in all the business units that I've been working with to try and drive their salespeople into getting their opportunities in the right places with the right data. And what it does, it comes with a little push counter. So there's a little push counter you get with it so you can tell how many times somebody's pushing the close date, because you'll see salespeople, sometimes they'll like make the close date the next sales cycle. So yeah, everything's going to close next month. Well, it's not going to close next month. And so you'll see that kind of behavior with some of them. And you can help them with this push counter because it'll keep track of how many times they're pushing, so you can sit down and kind of coach and mentor them to understand that, like, you know, everything's not going to close next sales cycle. You know, this is how you should be working your deals, and this is how you know when your close dates are. So this is great. It's got push counter, missing data. So, you know, they got deals closing this month, but there's no activity. So how could you have a deal closing if you haven't even talked to the customer or logged any activities in 7 days or 30 days, whatever you want to set up and define? If you're trying to really promote that next step field so that when they're working in list views, you can train them to easily look through a list view of opportunities and see their next steps, telling them what they need to do next, what they're waiting on, missing the primary contact, missing competitor. I mean, you could take this to a whole nother level. If you've got some process in your organization where the salesperson needs to do, you know, need to gather certain piece of information, you know, make that information required, put it on this dashboard, and then monitor it to make sure that you're getting that rich data that you need, because you can't get to pipeline and forecasting if your salespeople are not entering the information you need to have relevant pipeline and forecasting. So this little dashboard has been out there for quite a while, and I was lucky enough to have my success manager point it out to me and give me the little push counter so that I could have the sales managers work with the teams, because your salespeople, really, this is not their thing. CRM is really not their thing, and having to enter data and having this application where they can, in this dashboard, they have their own. So each rep has their own opportunity accountability dashboard, so they know exactly they are with their opportunities. And then the sales manager has the overall board. He can sit down and change the name when he sits down with them, and you know, the dynamic dashboard you can view as the person. So they can have a sit down and have a conversation about data points that they're missing in their opportunity. Pop-up alerts from Riptide. This is a brand new little app that we just installed in our media Salesforce org. We recently integrated our financial system into our Salesforce so that we can share the financial standing of the dealership with the sales rep. And what this helps us do is not to have the salesperson try to sell to a dealer that might have had a collection issue or maybe had a write-off. And so what this pop-up alert does is we have a little text field that's called service alert. We have service alert and sales alert, and in there we'll feed information that might be important. So when you go to that account, it immediately will pop up some message. Like for sales, it'll say past due amount or write-off amount. If it's a service alert, it's like no changes except from admin. How often have you wanted to have a pop-up on a page to alert somebody of some condition for that customer that you need to keep everybody's eyes on? And this is what this little pop-up will do. I know there was a few problems with IE, but it works perfectly with Chrome and Firefox. And it's a great little tool, and I'm hoping that they figure out what the problem is with IE. So I'll tell you up front, there was a little problem with Internet Explorer, but where I work, we don't use IE. We all pretty much use Chrome or Firefox. So I'll hand this back.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Mm-hmm. So I saw a lot of you taking pictures of the apps that we've been talking about. Here's a little cheat sheet for you. Put them all in one place. We predicted
You're
this
welcome.
might be. You can thank me later. So we'd like to really understand who's in the room. And if you could raise your hand if you're an admin. Wow, great. And stand up if you are currently using one or more apps in your instance of Salesforce. Let's work those legs. You don't walking up here. Stay standing if you are using 3 or more. Wow, no one, like hardly anyone sat down. And let's go with 5 or more apps.
Okay, we got some heavy hitters in the room.
All right.
All right.
And should we go with 7? Anyone? Nobody. All right, so who said 6? 6 is the magic number? All right. Well, I have 4 bottles of hot sauce that I can give you later if you want. But that's really impressive, and we'd love to hear more from you about what's working for you. You know, all your stories are unique, and they're all very powerful for us. So there are a few more tips and tricks that Maggie and Karen wanted to share with you, not limited to apps from the AppExchange. So let's hear about a few of those. Karen.
Okay. Yeah, so it was hard to break it down to just 5 apps. As I said, I had 18 apps in my last org, some free, some paid. Rollup Helper has saved my life so many times. I can't live without it. If you haven't used it, you haven't seen, I see some smiles back there. So this gives you the ability to do a rollup summary field anywhere that the standard rollup summary fields cannot happen. So it is free. It's going to be limited in the free version. The paid version is not very expensive. It is a lifesaver. I can't tell you how often I've used this. The guys that develop this are really great, and they will help you with it and write custom triggers for you if you need additional help. I can't say enough good things about this, so go check it out. Again, biggest lifesaver for me. And then there's 2 other little things. They're not on the AppExchange. I found these out in the community. If you're not, and by the way, if you haven't been out in the Salesforce community, you are missing so much. Please go out and participate in the community. This is my favorite place to go get information about Salesforce. Google search, I don't get the results I want. And I apologize, I don't remember the person who put this out there, so kudos to them, and I wish I remembered their name. But this will give you a quick place to just put a search term in, and it pulls up everything. Documentation, all the boards, the blogs, code, apps. It's just a great, quick way to go find information about Salesforce. So finds info. And then my other one is the Perm Comparator. If you have not used this, you need to get this. This is John Brock. Thank you, John. This allows you to go and take 2 profiles and compare them. So if you need to find out what's different between 2 profiles quickly, you can do it with this little gem. And you can do it with permission sets too. So say I've got a profile and I've got a permission set, and I want to know what's the difference between the 2. Again, this is another lifesaver. I have used this one extensively as well. Had to share those 2 with you all. They're my can't live withouts.
Okay. So my best practice is KPIs. I'm an analytics freak, love reports, love dashboards. And so I can't tell you enough, if you're new and you want to get started in analytics, there's lots of dashboards out there that are ready, set, go. They'll show you, and a lot of them show you some cool stuff with year-over-year comparisons, month-over-month. So don't, spend your time reinventing the wheel. Somebody's already done this for you. Go down and download them into your systems, and then take them and customize them. Take your custom fields and wrap them into the reports and dashboards. How many people are so excited about what they saw yesterday, the new analytics? I'm like so ready to go back and start changing how I'm doing reporting. Surveys. So when I've done several startup companies, and always needed some way to get feedback when you're a startup. You always want to know how you're doing so you can improve. And so we started with surveys. And from our support side, so whenever a ticket was closed, it would send out a survey. And we got valuable information back from our customers, letting us know how bad we were doing so that we could improve. We actually upgraded to ClickTools, an amazing tool that we integrated into a custom object in our Salesforce org. So we brought in ClickTools, and we wrapped ClickTools around our support center, We use Click Tools. When we finish doing implementation, we call it a dealer approval survey. And what it does is says, we've trained your product. Are you happy with it? Can we start billing you? We don't really say, can we bill you? We just say, are you happy with it? And they click, 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 give us some feedback. And when they send it in, it comes in. And since it's integrated, it'll automatically update the project to go live, tell the billing department to start doing their thing. And we've got it logged right in their project that shows that they accepted all their product and they're ready to go. So if you want to get started with something, this is a great little way to get started with surveys. It's very simple to set up. It's very simple to use. You know, send it out with workflow. So it's a great place to start. Vacation requests. So like I said, when I worked for the startup, it was a CRM in the cloud for the automotive industry, 48 employees. All of a sudden went to 100 employees, 150 employees, 200 employees. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, and I was trying to extend the ROI. We had no money. Everything was going into development for our application. So vacation requests, this was great. Talk about extending your application and bringing everybody into the organization. So vacation requests, half-day requests. That way you can get a good picture on, you know, managers know who's out, who's got scheduled PTO, rolls all the way up to the top, all your VPs, your stakeholders, everybody's on the same page about who's taking off and when they're taking off. So this is a great way to extend your Salesforce. And really these apps will make you a big hero with the person who's paying the bills for Salesforce, because you're putting as much process in your company into Salesforce. And once somebody knows how to do a list view, how to navigate a record page, what related lists are, every time you add something in, the learning curve, there's no learning curve. The training is so easy. I mean, it's a little bit of a documentation, it's maybe a little bit of a training, and they're already off and running because they already know how to use the app, so it's a no-brainer. I mean, when they want to go out and buy all these different apps to put in, think about all the support, all the training. It's just so much easier to take what you've already got. The foundation is there to just snap in these apps and get off and running with them. There we go.
Awesome. So thank you both. And I would love to open it up for some Q&A. I'm sure you guys have some great questions. Yeah, right there in the back.
Something I didn't see and was hoping to see is, do you have any recommendations on apps for form integration? So for example, we only have about 20% of our staff on Salesforce, and there's other staff that we want to collect data from, but we don't want to get them user licenses because they themselves would never directly engage with the system. And we're trying to figure, and it seems like forms that we could, you know, they could fill out a data on a web page or something and then have it easily integrate into our Salesforce instance would be ideal, but I haven't really seen anything out there that was the clear winner.
So are you talking about forms as far as like having a sites page and you're putting the form in, or are you trying to extract data off of an object into, say, a PowerPoint or Excel or Word document? I'm not sure.
I think she was talking about somebody going to like a web page or a landing page, filling out information, then making sure that gets into Salesforce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would think you could do that with sites. You could build a
Sites,
public sites and then have them make the site form and then give them that URL to fill out, because we've done something similar to that a long time ago where we built a site. We called it the welcome packet. So for implementation, since we're doing a CRM, we had a lot of information that had to be filled out for the dealer. So we built a site, and on this we had a custom object underneath it, but we had the site, and we would send them an email template, click here to start your welcome packet. And it was just using sites, and they would fill out all the information about what their DMS was and who their internet provider was. And what all that did is it came in and it connected to the project object. So now they had the configuration that was, and the customer could go back to it. So if they left something off, they could go like next, and fill it out. And it was always out there for them too, but then all the information came right back into it. So you can build that yourself leveraging what Salesforce has right now.
Sites.
And just go out to the YouTube. I mean, if you Google sites, there's kind of different sites too. There's like public sites, and there's a different kind of flavor there.
Use Finds Info.
Yeah, Finds Info. Perfect.
All righty, I saw a hand in the back over there. Yeah.
Kind of along with what she was asking, like does the chatter license work with some of these, like the vacation apps?
So if you go Chatter Plus, I think Chatter Plus gives you accounts, contacts, and custom objects.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've changed the license model. I'm not sure I recall.
You can, if there's questions that you had that we don't answer, feel free to post them in the community, and we'll get you the answers you deserve. Hand over here, yeah.
Do you recommend any good apps for case management?
Case management apps.
So I custom built an app called Case Runners. And why I did that was I got frustrated with people willy-nilly changing the status of a case and not being able to record what they were doing. And so it was difficult for me to help the support team change their process. So I made a custom object called Case Runners. And what I did is it had like 5 different buttons that forced the user to work a case to change the status. They get a ticket, either it's a one and done, and they hit a resolve button, and they hit the resolve button, it would record the date it was resolved, close the case. If they couldn't resolve it, they needed to escalate it, they hit an escalation button, they pick a queue where it was going to go. If it went to a certain queue, I could require different information. I really drove the data integrity for my case management through just building this custom object to drive my process. And so that little custom object called Case Runners was my way of handling case management so that I could get control of, I don't want people changing the status of a ticket to say resolve waiting on customer when they didn't even talk to the customer. So it really helped me get control of how flexible the application is, but also I didn't want that flexibility in my case management because I really needed to understand my support process. So I haven't really looked at stuff, but I'll tell you what, I saw some stuff with the Service Console yesterday at the Expo, and I am blown away by case feed and publisher actions in that console. So I would say go down to the Expo floor, go down to where the customer satisfaction area, and just have them give you the demos of what they're showing with case management, because there's so many different flavors right now with the console.
Yeah.
Those apps that you mentioned that are available outside of the AppExchange, would they have gone through the Salesforce security review?
Yeah, so everything that we talked about here today has gone through the Salesforce security
The finds
review.
info, no.
Yeah.
The Heroku app, I'm not sure about the permission comparator. That's something, use at your own risk.
Any others? Okay, well, just a few more things. There's a really fun game out in the world, matchapps.cool. I built it with my team here. We all worked really hard on this game. So it's a way to explore apps in the AppExchange without browsing the site. You can just go to matchapps.cool, or in the campground of the platform station, there's huge life-size phones you can play on. It's a fun way to explore. It's like that game memory when you're a kid, you flip the tiles to match them. And you can win $1,000 if you tweet AppIQ and share some insights and learnings and some of your favorite tricks. So with that, thank you all very much for coming. We hope you enjoyed the session.